haven't pre-ordered F1 2017 just yet, guys, don't forget to check out Simply Games for a brilliant price as well. Be top link down the description, guys, and if you order through that link, you also help me out. Hello everyone, and welcome back, guys, to F1 2017. And for this video, we are here to, obviously, the F1 2017 real season does commence once more after the summer break at the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend, guys. And as you will have seen by the title, I will be doing a 100% race starting from the back as Max Verstappen around the Belgian Grand Prix circuit. You know, 44 laps around this track. I did a 100% race at Monaco yesterday. If you did miss out on that video, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out, guys. But no assists apart from racing line, just so you know, we know where we need to brake. Ultimate AI, one-shot quali, obviously, where we start from the back. And hopefully, you know, this can be a very exciting race. Be interested to see how good the Red Bull is, because obviously I'm used to the Mclaren at the moment, which is certainly not a fast car. So after a very long introduction there from Crofty, guys, we are on the grid ready for 44 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix. One of my favourite circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. So, you know, I am really looking forward to getting into this race, as well as testing out the Red Bull car as well. One of the cars that I personally, it sort of suits my style of driving. I prefer a bit more downforce and a little less down the straight. So I have reduced the rear wing, both wing angles for this race though as well. You know, just trying to give myself a bit of a better shot during this race, guys. But I'm going to go for a one-stop Grand Prix. Going to try and take the softs as far as I possibly can into the race and just see where it does leave me later on, guys. But on the grid, ready then. It is 5 lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. And it is lights out, and away we go there finally. And off to a pretty decent start, trying to have a look first of all past both Sauber cars down towards turn 1 here, guys. But the AI just at the road brake very early there. Me and the Sauber, oh, I think that's Ericsson, both go for a very late lunge on a whole heap of cars there. So up to P16 I go after the first corner, so very ideal. You know, already making up positions nice and fast. We've got Ericsson and Sainz going side by side. Up Eau Rouge on the first lap there. We get all over the back of Marcus Ericsson here, but we have got a slightly more powerful car, a much better car, down a straight here. So we're going to try and look right around his outside here, but unfortunately for me, Sainz sort of just in the way. They're having to back out a little bit early down in towards the next corner. Going to try and hook it right around the outside of Marcus Ericsson here as we're trying to fight with the car. A lot of fuel on board at the moment, which means the car is even more loose here as Ericsson there still on my inside as we come down into the hairpin there, as late on the brakes as I possibly can, running very deep in through the corner there. But we do hold it around the outside of Marcus Ericsson there. That will give me the inside for the next corner, and up into P15 we do go in this Grand Prix, guys. And just a few corners later, we are still looking very strong. As you can see out the road there, Magnussen has run massively deep on the exit and parks it in the middle of the road. Somehow we don't run into the back of him there, but we do now move up into P14 of the Grand Prix there. So a fairly successful first lap of this race, but you know, it definitely is far from over as we move on to lap 2 here, guys. And down at the end of the long straight there, Jolyon Palmer's made a mistake and comes straight back onto the circuit right in front of me there. We do make a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, so very lucky that we came out of that unscathed there. But we do move up now into P13 of the race, and now on to lap 3. DRS now has been enabled here as we're all over the gearbox of Carlos Sainz there in the sister Toro Rosso car, and it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to be able to make a move up on him nice and soon as we come down towards Eau Rouge for the 3rd time in this Grand Prix. All over the back of Sainz. Going to move to the left-hand side as we go up the Kemmel Straight here. Obviously, with the DRS as well, we should be able to get the move done. And we're basically all the way past him before we even get towards the end of the Kemmel Straight there, before the braking zone, as we've now got Ocon and Stroll just up the road, going side by side through the next couple of corners here. We're still trying to save the back end here as it is still breaking away there, but Ocon forces out wide there, and we do now move past him up into P11 of the Grand Prix there, as we're a little bit deep once more through the hairpin here, just about hold it right out the inside of Ocon there. You know, he did think about going for a move there, but we are able to hold on to that position for now in this race. But we're now right on the back of Lance Stroll as we come through P1 here, one of my favourite corners around this circuit. And in the 2017 cars with lighter fuel, it is entirely flat out, guys. It is brilliant fun. But as we come now down in towards the final sector of this lap, in towards Stavelot, and you know, hopefully we can try to make up this position nice and quickly on the Williams car here. Obviously we will have the slipstream, no DRS down this back sort of straight, if you will, up towards Blanchemont, guys. We're going to try and look past Lance Stroll, the Canadian, in towards the bus stop chicane here. You know, with the slipstream, we should have a bit of advantage, because obviously the Williams is an absolute machine down the straights, guys. So we're going to have a look down the inside, in towards the bus stop chicane. They're looking at both front wheels, running massively deep into the corner there, but we do sort of hold on to it. Stroll goes right around the outside on the exit of the corner there, and down this front straight here. I have got the slipstream and the DRS there. Going to duck back in behind him, have a look up the inside into La Source there. Stroll locking up an absolute loads there down at turn 1, but there's been a spin for one of the Haas cars there of Romain Grosjean here, and that's given me a brilliant run on my teammate Daniel Ricciardo. As we come up towards Eau Rouge once more, we will just about be able to get out ahead of him there, and up to P8 of this Grand Prix we go. So very, very happy with the first few laps of this race there. 11 places made up in just 4 laps worth. You know, anything can happen at Spa. Jody and Palmer, unfortunately, now out of the Grand Prix as well. So that is not exactly what he would have wanted from this race, if I'm not mistaken. That was an engine failure there, guys. We can see, moving on to the end of lap 5 here. We're now right up on the gearbox of Felipe Massa here in his Williams car, and, you know, hoping we could try to move past him nice and quickly in this race here, guys. You know, we'll have to wait and see, as we are once again in the slipstream up towards Blanchimont. Are we going to try and do what we did to his teammate just a couple of laps back and go for a dive in towards the bus stop chicane here, guys? Way closer to the Williams car, up towards the bus stop, squeezes us to the outside there. A little bit of contact is made, wheel-to-wheel contact, but we do go right around his outside there, run massively deep into the final couple of corners there. Going to try and squeeze him out wide over the curbs there, guys, down at the final corner, but we're going to try and squeeze him to the inside in towards La Source there, and we should be able to hold on now to P6 in at this Grand Prix here, guys. You can see just going right around his, well, sort of around his outside there, is now I'm going to try and leave him fighting with Sergio Perez just behind, guys. But now skipping on to lap 10 of the Grand Prix, and Nico Hülkenberg at the moment is doing a very, very good job for the Renault team there, losing the back end absolutely massively there out of the final corner, guys. But we're still trying to close in on P5 during this Grand Prix, and just 1 lap later, Nico Hülkenberg does opt to dive into the pit lane there. Quite early, you know, to be coming in on a set of the Ultra Softs, but not ridiculously early there. And that, you know, is going to be interesting for me towards the end of the race to see, you know, if we're able to try and take the Ultra Softs to the very end. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see, guys, as we come to the end of lap 12 of this Grand Prix. And Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel are now both in the pits here. So we're going to move definitely past Valtteri Bottas there, up into P4 of this Grand Prix there. But Sebastian Vettel, obviously, with that very much a corner cut-esque pit lane exit there, will hold on to P3 for this moment in time as we kick out the back end over those turn 1 curbs, guys, on the exit of La Source. Very, very remodeled there. You know, got quite a big sausage curb on the exit of that corner, so you will have to watch out, guys. But skipping on now towards the end of lap 14 of this race, and we're still holding on quite nicely to P4 at the moment. We do have Valtteri Bottas on that set of ultra soft tyres, trying to close down the gap at the moment. But, you know, I'm feeling fairly comfortable up in P4 of this Grand Prix at the moment. You know, just still trying to find some rhythm with this Red Bull car. And as we skip on towards lap 22, halfway now through this Grand Prix here, and we got tackling our first lapped cars here of Fernando Alonso. Definitely not the race he would have wanted so far, as you can see, coming in towards the final sector into Stavolo there, and he sort of backs out of it, sort of doesn't there, which wasn't really ideal, you know, from a very, very experienced racer, him to make such a, you know, odd, you know, sort of rookie error there. I was a bit surprised by that, but we do obviously still hold on to P4. Not really too much time has been lost from that, as you can see. Sebastian Vettel moves up into P2 of the Grand Prix there, as Lewis Hamilton goes onto a set of the ultra soft tyres, guys. But now skipping on to lap 29 here, and we're on the back now of the other McLaren Honda here of Stoffel Van Dorn there. He moves out of the way a little bit nicer than his teammate did. We're down into the bus stop chicane there. Going to obviously still hold on to P4 in this Grand Prix, but at the moment, you know, the tyre wear on this set of softs has gone a little bit further than I was expecting. So, you know, I was considering going on to a set of the ultra softs right through to the very end of the Grand Prix, guys, and just a couple of laps later, that is actually what I'm going to opt to do. So I'm going to come into the pits for my one stop in this Grand Prix there, dink the rear wheel on that tiny little piece of wall there, just about get the car slowed down in time for the pit lane there. But we're going to come in, go to a set of the ultra softs for the final 13 laps of this Belgian Grand Prix here. Valtteri Bottas there does move back up into P4 of the Grand Prix. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see now, between now and the end of this race, are we going to be able to close back up that gap to Valtteri Bottas. You know, it's going to be an almighty push right through to the very end there. He's run a little bit wide out of the pit lane exit there, but get the power down quite nice there, obviously, on this fresh set of the grippiest tyres in Formula 1, guys. We can see skipping on towards the end of lap 32 here, and lap traffic still a little bit of a pain in this Grand Prix. You know, Spa not exactly a difficult track to lap cars. You can see coming into towards the final chicane, they're chucking this Red Bull as much as we possibly dare. They're losing the back end ever so slightly on the final corner there, where we do go fastest in the Grand Prix there with a 1 minute 47.3 there, but we run into the back of Magnussen at turn 1 there. He does move out the way in the very end. Lucky, you know, to actually come out of that first corner without any damage taken from the front wing there. But, you know, we're still trying to close in on Valtteri Bottas at this moment in time, guys. See, skipping on, Marcus Ericsson now is out of the Grand Prix, and the gap to Bottas is coming down a lot at this moment in time. As you can see, lap 35, 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and just a couple of laps later, the gap still coming down to Valtteri Bottas here. And, you know, I was thinking at this moment in time, you know, it was looking like we were going to close up to him right at the very end of this Grand Prix, guys. We come through to finish at lap 40 though, and unfortunately, you know, the pace from this set of Ultra Softs sort of starting to fade away now. You know, the Supers starting to equal out a bit more, and especially trying to have to save the fuel towards the end of this Grand Prix, guys. Unfortunately, you know, Bottas able to, you know, sort of keep, you know, 2-3 seconds above, you know, really being able to attack him right towards the end of this Grand Prix, guys. But in towards the final sector of the race, Lewis Hamilton has come through to take home the race victory at this Belgian Grand Prix there. A very, very good race from him. You know, actually a lot of interesting strategies coming out from this race. We'll see later on, obviously, when we have a look at the final standings, you know, that it was quite a few different strategies came into play, guys. But in towards the final couple of corners then of this Belgian Grand Prix, we have come from last to finish P5 as Max Verstappen there, guys, and that is still a very, very solid result to finish the race.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
But there we are then, guys, the end of the Belgian Grand Prix there. Unfortunately, you know, we weren't able to get right up with the Mercedes and the Ferrari cars at the very end of that race. And Bottas, you know, he sort of pulled away a little bit of a gap right at the very end, you know. I think that wasn't representative of how much we did really close him in during that Grand Prix there, guys. But Lewis Hamilton was able to win the race on a 3-stop strategy there, able to just beat Kimi Räikkönen by 1.7 seconds. At the very end there, that, you know, both Ferraris and Bottas went for a 2-stop, and obviously I, starting from the back, had to go for a much longer first stint of this Grand Prix there. Sergio Perez, though, finishing in P6, just behind me there, separating the Red Bull cars there. Van Dorn up in P8, having a very, very strong show in there, with Nico Hülkenberg in 9th, and Lance Stroll rounding up the top 10, guys. But hopefully, you know, you guys have enjoyed this 100% Belgian Grand Prix. You know, hopefully, after the F1 summer break, it can come back with a bang for the next F1 race at Spa, guys. But I will see you guys next time for a brand new video. Hopefully you've enjoyed and subscribed.